Sometimes it's too difficult to choose which fragrance, and that's what I faced between Dior Sauvage Eau de Toilette and Prada Luna Rosa Carbon. So there is a little bit difference. Uh, for that, you will decide each one is the best for you. Ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome back again to Majid San channel for reviewing and describing perfumes. Today we're gonna do a small comparison between these two blue fragrances, these two best designer fragrances in these few years. So for that, this is two famous fragrances. The first time in this episode, I gonna try to tell you the story behind these two fragrances, and after that we're gonna see the big difference between these two fragrances and which one to choose. Stay tuned. We're gonna start with Dior Sauvage, the Eau de Toilette version. This fragrance, the name was inspired by the name of Eau Sauvage. Eau Sauvage was launched in 1996. It's classical fragrance, but the smell is not the same at all. Also, the collection is different. So then just the name they choose Sauvage. Okay. Dior Sauvage was signed by the nose François Demachet, the famous perfumer, and this fragrance was inspired by the wild, inspired by the blue sky, inspired by the desert, the hot desert under the sun. So the famous actor Johnny Depp was the actor who was on the trailer of this fragrance. So this is the story behind Dior Sauvage Eau de Toilette that was launched in September 2015. And now we jump to the Luna Rosa Carbon. Luna Rosa Carbon was launched in 2017 and by the house of Prada. And the nose behind this fragrance was Daniela Andrei. So this is the nose behind this fragrance, is woman, and it was released in 2017. So exactly 1 year and a half after the release of Dior Sauvage Eau de Toilette. So the first time we see this smell on Dior Sauvage, and it's repeated on this fragrance after 1 year and a half. There is a small difference between these two scents, and I gonna mention it. When you spray from Dior Sauvage and from Luna Rosa Carbon, you're gonna see it's the same smell. So if you spray and you haven't seen the bottle, it's too difficult to choose between the two fragrances, but on the dry down there is some difference between the two scents. Any one of them was classified as an aromatic fougere fragrance. Any one of them contain fresh notes in the opening, bergamot, contain also the black pepper, but in the middle note, this one contain more aromatic notes. There is the geranium, there is the elemi, lavender, pink pepper, Sichuan pepper. But in the Luna Rosa, yes, there is the same lavender, there is the same pepper, but in the Luna Rosa Carbon there is the metallic notes and the watery notes. In the base, what we have in the Luna Rosa, there is the patchouli and the woody base with the ambroxan, the main note in these two fragrances, the ambroxan. But in Dior Sauvage, yes, there is the ambroxan, but it's too synthetic. So the difference, when you spray, you will feel in the opening that Dior Sauvage is a little bit synthetic, more than Luna Rosa Carbon. is a little bit more dose of ambroxan than Luna Rosa Carbon. Also, when it's dry, you're gonna feel that Dior Sauvage contain a lot of warm spices than the Luna Rosa Carbon. The Luna Rosa Carbon gonna give you more fresh spices, okay? Gonna give you more metallic notes. What I notice also in Dior Sauvage, when you spray it, you will feel like there is a sniff of amber that doesn't exist on the Prada Luna Rosa Carbon. This is the main difference between the smell in these two fragrances. When we jump to the section of the performance, to be honest, the two fragrances give me the same performance, the same longevity, the same sillage. Maybe Sauvage project more than Luna Rosa due to the synthetic notes, the spices, the big dose of ambroxan. But when we see the longevity is the same, sometimes you can get more than 10 hours of longevity. Who can use these two fragrances? To be honest with you, I don't prefer to smell these fragrances on women. Definitely yes. This is a male fragrance. Pepper, ambroxan, aromatic notes, fougere sides. So only men can use these fragrances and these scents. I don't recommend it for women at all. The price of these two fragrances also is very similar. Both of them are between $80 to $90, so there is no big difference on the price. As two designer fragrances, you can buy them with this price. I think it's acceptable. It's not too expensive. Why I recommend to try at least one time in your life these two fragrances or one of them, or which one you can choose. This kind of fragrances, this kind of blue fragrances that contain the ambroxan, make it so sexy and very acceptable. Especially women love to smell this smell on a man. Dior Sauvage, when it released in the first time, it was very sexy. It was a compliment beast, but the inconvenient after 5 to 6 years, when you enter a place, definitely you're gonna smell Dior Sauvage, and they hate this repeated smell. So this is the lone inconvenient on this smell. It's so repeated. There is no uniqueness here. If you are still want to try this smell, if you love more warm spices, more than fresh spices, and more ambroxan, just go with your Sauvage EDT. If you want more fresh notes and fresh spices and metallic notes, go with Prada Luna Rosa Carbon. In the end, I would like to thank you for watching this episode. This is a small comparison between these two blue fragrances that came with the same smell and the same line. So if you have tried one of them before, please tell us your experience in comments, and see you with another comparison.